McDonald's play places were a staple to most people's childhood. You got to eat food and run around on the playground. But over the years, with McDonald's going through many different remodels of the buildings, the play places were changed with them. Whether it be the classic 90s design, the new prison cell look of the playgrounds, or it not even being there at all, there's definitely been many changes. But as the classic saying goes, nothing can beat the original. And that is definitely true in this case. The original McDonald's play places were classic, and a big reason why McDonald's is as big as it is today. These playgrounds were first introduced in the early 1970s and started to be put in at every new location from that point on. McDonald's was just starting to move away from their original design where you walked up, got your food, and left. They wanted to make their buildings more focused on people staying longer, and to do this, dine-in areas were built so people had a place to eat, as well as playgrounds so kids had something to do. The different equipment featured on these playgrounds were all from McDonaldLand. That was basically McDonald's group of characters that would be featured in commercials and advertisements. You had Ronald McDonald, Grimace, Hamburglar, Officer Big Mac, Captain Crook, and many more. As a kid, if you saw this while driving by, you would definitely want to stop there. And that's exactly why they were built the way they were. But years later and decades after they have all been removed from every location, these things are now super rare and go for a lot of money. But if you're a fan of collecting McDonald's items, then you have to get at least one of these. I always wanted to check these things out in real life, but never thought I would until I reached out to this one guy who owns a bunch of them. He let me look around at all the different statues he has, and it was really cool. I'll show you everything from the classic Officer Big Mac to Ronald McDonald on the bench, and even the McDonald's Payphone. I never knew they had one of these. So with that, let's check out what was once a part of the original McDonald's play place, otherwise known as back then the McDonald's Playland.
I've been wanting to do this for so long now, and I finally got the chance to look at these up close. I've seen these from the road a bunch of times, and that's how I got the idea to want to come up to these and film it for a video. If you go back in an older video of mine, I put them in there really quick because I saw them, and ever since then, I knew I had to get these up close. So obviously all of these characters are from the McDonaldland playground, which were super popular back in the 70s and 80s, but over time they got rid of them all. So the only way you're really going to see any of these statues is just by people buying them over time and putting them in their collection, just like this behind me. So first, let's take a look at this guy right in the front. We have Officer Big Mac. You can see this is the Big Mac right here, and then on top he has his officer hat. Also on the body, that's supposed to resemble, I guess, his police outfit. I always found this to be one of the strangest things built for a playground. Basically, the idea was a kid would crawl in here, go up that ladder, and then just go in this thing and spin around. You would just climb around it like you're in jail or whatever. I just don't really understand the fun of it, but apparently a lot of kids were getting hurt in this because they would get stuck or they would stick their head through the bars, and then of course they would need help getting out. So that's the inside right there. You would literally just go around here and hold on to the bars. So this was the entranceway where kids would go, but the person that owns this collection actually added this ladder here just because I guess he got it and he figured it fit pretty well with it. But these stairs actually belong to this slide over here. So I'm guessing these slides had two different stair types. One would just go straight up like this, and then the other one would go up halfway, and then you would go up the other flight of stairs. And then as for the character on this slide, up on the top there, you can see it's Captain Crook. I like how it's basically a regular slide, but then they just add him up there to make it McDonald's themed, but I love it. When I did a video going to the weirdest McDonald's locations, one of the McDonald's I went to used to have this statue, but by the time I went to it, they had already removed it. But it was exactly like that one. But of course, these are the classic slides where it would burn your hand and every part of your body because it's all made out of metal. So when the sun beams on it, you know these are gonna hurt. But there's only one way to find out if it will really burn you that bad. Now don't worry, we did get permission. We would never just go up there on our own. Have fun on the slide.
Oh, it's actually pretty good. It
Wait,
works.
you're not burning? Now over on this side, we actually have another Officer Big Mac, but with this one, he couldn't find the bottom of it, so it's just on concrete. Basically, just like the last one, it's the same thing. You would climb up in the pool, but this one's not here. You'd go inside of there and just go around. And I'm sure on a hot summer's day, these bars probably hurt like crazy. Just imagine how hot these things can get. But I have to say, it's so cool seeing these type of things because you would never see them anymore. The fact that they built these at almost every McDonald's location back in the day day. It's just crazy. Nowadays, this would be like a special thing for one location, not every one. I wish there was more to say about these guys. They are great though, but with these, it's kind of just, they are what they are. I would have Glenn try it out, but I'm not gonna risk that with these. Now we have these random things. It's like a combination of a bunch of stuff. So with this first one in the front here, you have the hamburger with the eyeballs. That's classic, but I have no idea what he's supposed to be attached to. And I would suppose back in the day, they moved on a spring, but now they're just bolted to the ground, which makes sense. Over time, the spring would just break. But then this next one really caught me off guard. It's supposed to be a ship in the sea. It doesn't have the hamburger face on top, but instead you get the McDonald's logo right there, which is actually pretty cool because you know for sure this was a McDonald's product. But I saved my favorite for last. You have the fish fillet fish. So it's a fish fillet right in the front with the eyes. I've only ever seen the cheeseburger variation, but now we have fish fillet and he's literally attached to a fish. Now we have what is probably one of my favorites as well. I love old signs like this. You have the McDonaldLand sign for the playground itself. So right on the side here, you have an illustration of Officer Big Mac. And then on the other side, you have a fry guy. This is the red version. On the sign itself, it says McDonaldLand Playland regulations. And then you have all the rules there. But one of my favorite things to look for in old signs is a date. And you actually have one right here. This one is from 1980.
Now, as good as a collection as this is, I do want to show you a couple pieces that he didn't have. The first one would be this Grimace cage. The design of Grimace on this is actually based off of the original version of him, where he was a bad character known as Evil Grimace. Another one is the Hamburglar swing. It was basically a giant Hamburglar statue with swings on his arms. Now, there is some other ones, but this collection has the most popular ones. And before I talk about the final stuff in the collection, I might as well point out that he did have the train and seating that was usually found in the Playland area, but there really wasn't much to add, so I'm just throwing them in here real quick.
But now I saved the best two for last, and that would be the Hamburglar and Ronald McDonald himself over here. But before I talk about them, I have to throw this in the video. It's a McDonald's phone. Apparently, he told us this phone actually works still. You need a quarter to set it up, so we're gonna put it in there, and Glenn's gonna call his phone number to see if it pops up. Put the quarter in, then you type the number. Well, we gave it our best shot, but apparently it doesn't look like it's working. This might explain it. It's not even plugged in. Now let's head over to the Ronald McDonald statue. Before I talk about Ronald McDonald himself, I have to show you his buddy right here, the Hamburglar. I have never seen this statue before, but this is really cool. He got his ugly face right there, and he's obviously stealing a cheeseburger under his coat. But now we have the one that everyone's been waiting for, Ronald McDonald himself. This Ronald McDonald right here was the one I was most excited for when coming here. From the road, I can only see the back of his head. So for the longest time, I've wanted to see this statue up close. And now I'm finally able to do so. This is the Ronald McDonald where he's sitting on the bench. They had a couple different variations. Like sometimes he would be standing up, but this is the one I remember the most.
I'm glad I got to check out this collection of very rare McDonald's pieces because it's definitely something you don't get to see every day. Make sure to subscribe, and I am now selling merch. Click the link in the description to get yours today.